So, wanna hear something scary? Hall Pass to Hell. Sometimes, the friend you wish for is the one who shouldn't exist. Like in this story inspired by Mackenzie. Will I ever have a friend? That's all I thought about when first grade started again. My mom said I wasn't trying, but the truth was, I was probably focused more on finding a friend than on my schoolwork. My grades collapsed, but I didn't care. All I wanted was someone who understood me, someone who didn't make me feel invisible. I didn't know it then, but the loneliness I carried like a heavy coat had already set me apart from the other kids. They played in groups, laughed at jokes I didn't understand, and whispered secrets I wasn't invited to. I watched, but I never belonged. One afternoon, in a quiet corner of the library, I met her, Stella. She had pale blonde hair, eyes the color of shallow summer water, and the kind of dress you'd seen in a fairy tale, too fancy for school, like she had stepped out of another world. She sat directly across from me, flipping the pages of the same book I had, Harry Potter. Harry Potter, huh? I asked, sliding into the chair. She looked up, and her smile was flawless, like she'd been waiting for me. Yeah, I'm on book 3. Lucky, that's my favorite. I'm Lizzie. Stella, she said, tilting her head slightly. From then on, we met in the library once or twice a week. She was everything I had dreamed of in a friend, kind, funny, and attentive. And she always seemed to know exactly what I liked before I did. But there was something odd. Everyone liked her, and yet no one ever approached her when I was around. We discovered we went to the same school, same grades, same schedule. At first, I thought it was a coincidence, but the more I noticed, the stranger it became. We had the same classes, the same lunch period, even the same favorite subjects, and yet for the same reason, it felt like she'd been orchestrating all of it. We became inseparable. In class, she always sat next to me. At lunch, she slid into the seat before anyone else could. When I got up to throw away some trash, she trailed behind me, even to the bathroom. At first, it was comforting. Later, it felt suffocating. After a month, I began to feel trapped. She wasn't just a friend. She was a shadow that followed my every move. I decided I'd tell her during math class that I didn't want to be friends anymore. But that morning, a new boy arrived. Kyle, messy hair, dark brown eyes, a crooked smile that made my stomach twist. When our eyes met, I felt a spark. I must have been blushing because Stella's expression changed like a storm crossing the sky. "What were you going to tell me, Lizzie?" she asked, her voice soft but edged. Nothing," I mumbled, suddenly unsure of myself. The rest of the day she hovered, too close, watching me when I looked at Kyle. The more I noticed her behavior, the more my stomach sank. The next day, Stella excused herself mid-class. I went to find Kyle. He was at the water fountain alone. We talked about books, music, and teachers. It felt effortless, like meeting him had been inevitable. Then he asked, "Hey, not to be weird, but who were you talking to in math class yesterday?" "Stella," I said, and then paused. Something about the way he frowned made my blood run cold. "I know I'm new, but you were talking to an empty chair the whole time." My stomach dropped. The sideways glances from classmates, the teachers pausing mid-sentence, the way Stella never appeared in group projects. Everything clicked, and then it didn't. Because if Stella wasn't real, how had she been following me everywhere? Responding to me, laughing at the same jokes. I didn't sleep that night. Every shadow in my room looked like her. Every creak of the floorboards felt deliberate. I tried to tell my mom the next morning, but Stella was there first, waiting outside my bedroom door. "Why are you whispering?" she asked, smiling perfectly. "I can hear everything." I froze. Her presence made the air feel thick, hard to breathe. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Days passed, She followed me home from school, walked beside me in the hallways, lingered outside the bathroom when I was inside. At lunch, she sat across from me, perfectly still, not eating, just staring. I began avoiding other kids entirely, afraid someone would notice she wasn't real, but no one did. Then the dreams began. In my dreams, I was in the room, and Stella was there, always smiling, always watching. She didn't speak, just pointed to things, nudged me toward doors, windows, mirrors, and each time I woke, something in my room had changed. A chair slightly out of place, my backpack zipped differently, a page from my notebook torn out. I tried telling my mom. She said I was imagining things. Friends like Stella are a blessing, Lizzie. Don't push her away. But I wasn't imagining it. She wasn't just watching me. She was controlling the world around me, making it all about her. Then Kyle disappeared. One afternoon, I found his backpack abandoned in the hallway. His lunchbox was open, and scrawled across a piece of paper inside, in handwriting that wasn't his, were the words, "Don't leave me." I ran to find him, but he was gone. No one remembered seeing him that morning. No one had any idea who I was talking about. I tried to escape. I told my parents I wanted to transfer schools. They laughed. "You don't need to run from a friend, Lizzie." But I did. Every night, I imagined her at my window, at my door, even standing at the foot of my bed. I tried barricading the doors, hiding in closets. She always found me. Then one night, the whisper started. "Lizzie, come play." I crept out of bed. The house was dark. I followed the voice to the kitchen, where shadows twisted like smoke. And there she was, Stella, standing under the light from the fridge, arms crossed, eyes wide, pale hair glowing unnaturally. "If I can't have you, then no one can," she said. I scrambled behind the counter. My hands found a small steak knife. She lunged. I stabbed blindly, my heart hammering, eyes squeezed shut. When I opened them, the figure on the floor wasn't Stella. It was my mom. Blood pooled beneath her, eyes wide and empty. My hands trembled, crimson and slick. I dropped the knife, sobbing. Then, in the reflection of the window, I saw her. Stella, smiling, eyes impossibly wide, stretching beyond the pale confines of her face. She whispered my name, and she was gone. The police didn't believe me. They said it must have been a hallucination, a stress-induced breakdown. But I know the truth. Stella isn't imaginary, and she's still out there, watching, waiting. Not for me, for someone else, someone new. Months later, I started hearing her again, a giggle behind the shower curtain, a shadow in the corner of my eye, a reflection that shouldn't be there. My schoolwork collapsed. Friends I tried to make vanished. People who had been kind suddenly forgot me. I tried therapy, I tried medications. Nothing worked. Because Stella doesn't just haunt rooms. She haunts lives. She follows the people who are lonely, the ones who want to be seen, the ones who crave a friend. Sometimes when the house is quiet, I think I can hear her at the front door, whispering my name like a promise. And I know that one day, if I'm not careful, she'll come back. Because that's what she does. She finds you. She becomes you. She replaces everything you love. And once she's done, she moves on to the next forever friend. And she is so good at it, you better watch out. Or her next victim could be you. Have you ever felt watched by someone who isn't really there? Could a friend be more dangerous than a stranger? Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you won't miss a single episode. And have you checked out our new merch? We have merch to buy, and we had a sale last week. If so, send us a photo of you wearing our new hat, t-shirt, or hoodie, and we'll post it on our Instagram. And if you forgot to check it out, go to SomethingScary.com. We'll leave the sale on through Wednesday night, so get over there now. Hi, I'm Blair Bathory, and thank you so much for being here. As August ends, going back to school looms over us. While some get excited for the first day of school, for others, the first day back is the scariest day of all. Some of us see empty hallways echoing with footsteps that aren't yours. Lockers slam when no one's near. Friends smile, but you don't know why. So welcome back and try to survive another year. Sometimes you don't summon the ghosts, it's the ghosts who are waiting for you all along, like in this story inspired by Maya. We're not supposed to talk about what happened that weekend, not because anyone would believe us, but because the building itself seemed to want it that way. I go to an all-girls boarding school in South Africa. The school is old, very old, and everyone has their ghost stories tucked between the tales of strict headmistresses and vanished students. My friends and I decided to make our own. We called it extreme hide and seek. No flashlights, all lights off. The entire 3-story building fair game. Phones were allowed for texting, but nothing else. It started as a joke, a way to kill a quiet weekend. Round 1 went fine. I was it first, creeping through hallways, peering around doors. I found one friend, then another. The last player sent a text. She'd won. We laughed, adrenaline pumping, unaware that the game had only begun. Round 2 began with a team-up with a friend. We hid in the music block on the ground floor. The air was stale, tinged with the faint smell of old wood polish and something sour I couldn't place. That's when it started, the first whisper, faint, almost imperceptible, like something muttering a name we couldn't catch. Doors creaked in empty corridors. Shadows shifted at the edges of our vision. My claustrophobia made it worse. I could feel a presence moving just outside the door, waiting. 10 minutes passed and we were finally found, though we hadn't seen the seeker. Round 3 was worse. We hid in the study hall. Darkness swallowed the room. The only sound was our own breathing. Then came footsteps, soft, deliberate, pacing around us. At first, I assumed it was the seeker, but then whispers began, low and teasing. "You're here. I see you." My friend froze. I pressed my hands to my ears. 10 minutes passed, the footsteps stopped. The silence that followed wasn't quiet. It watched. Then a water bottle clicked against a desk. The footsteps resumed, slower, heavier, moving between desks in a rhythm that didn't belong to any human. Barefoot sounds ran across the porch outside. I wanted to call the seeker, but my phone refused to send a text. Then it buzzed, a new message from the seeker. All hiders moved to the first floor. We ran, hearts hammering, ignoring the study hall, ignoring the cold sweat running down my back. When we met in my room, the seeker told us something that froze the air. "She doesn't come from our world," she said. "The study hall? I didn't even go in there. And neither did anyone else. That man, he's been seen before. Walking between the desks at night, alone. No one knows who he was." We laughed nervously until we realized the other friend and the seeker hadn't even set foot on the ground floor. That's when I started piecing it together. The whispers, the bottle, the slow, deliberate footsteps. We hadn't been hiding from a friend. We'd been hiding from him. Later that night, I passed the study hall on my way to bed. The door was locked, but through the window, I thought I saw a shadow between the desks, taller than any student should be, shifting slightly when I blinked. My stomach turned. I shook my head. It had to be a trick of the dim light. I tried to sleep, but the whispers followed me. They weren't words exactly, more like the sound of someone breathing my name, dragging it across the edges of my mind. My phone buzzed in the dark. A new message from an unknown number. "Good hiding spot. Round 4? I didn't reply. The next morning, everything looked normal. Classes, hallways, students rushing to their lockers. But my friend who hid with me refused to talk about the night. She stared blankly at the study hall door and wouldn't look away. The others joked, but there was an edge to it, an unease none of us could shake. Over the next few nights, I noticed subtle changes. Footsteps in the hallways when no one else was awake, doors slightly ajar when they should have been locked, a cold spot near the stairwell that made my teeth chatter. The building felt alive, like it was breathing around us. Weeks later, I found a folded note under my pillow, shaky handwriting. Next time, don't hide. Come find me. I don't play hide and seek anymore. I don't wander hallways at night, and I never go near a study hall. Because sometimes the game doesn't end when you win, and sometimes it chooses you. That weekend left a mark. A week later, one of the other girls woke screaming in the middle of the night, whispering about a man between the desks, staring at her through the dark. No one could explain it. No one knew how he knew our names. I know what I saw. I know what I heard. And I know that hiding in the wrong place at the wrong time doesn't just make you a player. It makes you a part of the game. Even now, when I walk past the study hall during the day, I feel eyes on me. Shadows between desks stretch unnaturally. A whisper brushes the edge of my mind. Next round. And I wonder, if we ever leave, will he follow? Or will he wait for someone else to play? Because that's the thing about extreme hide and seek. You never really stop hiding. How far would you go for a thrill? Would you play a game you knew was haunted? Have you ever played this one? What about Bloody Mary? It's time for something from our listeners, and this week I wanted to share an email from Tanya. Hi, my name is Tanya. I'm from Zimbabwe, and I have a personal experience I'd like to share. I used to think Satanism was just make-believe, a way to scare people. I never believed in it until I was sent to Catholic boarding school. It wasn't bad for the first year, until the dreams started. My first dream was about my rosary. My grandmother was Catholic, and she used to tell me that the rosary would protect me, especially if it had been blessed by a priest. The dream felt real. In it, my rosary broke. I still had the necklace part around my neck, but the cross was under my pillow. I thought it was strange, but I ignored it as just a dream. The next morning, my friend saw some beads near my bed and woke me up. Tanya, there are some beads next to your bed. What? I said, still groggy from sleep. I rubbed my eyes and looked around. Sure enough, beads were scattered all around my bed, and the cross was under my pillow. I told our dorm matron, but she said not to worry. Maybe I'd just pull it apart in my sleep, but that had never happened before. I'd slept with my rosary on since I was 6 years old. The second time was during afternoon prayers in church. I had bought a new rosary and had it blessed by the Archbishop when he came to visit. Because the prayers even began, all the beads suddenly scattered everywhere. The strangest part was that the string was still perfectly intact around my neck, but the beads were gone. I was worried, so I went to see the priest at my school and told him about my dream and what had happened. He seemed concerned, prayed for me, and sent me back to the dormitory. Nothing happened for a while until I changed dormitories for my second year of high school. That's when the dreams began again. There are two vivid dreams I remember. The first one, I was in a white tent with my friends, celebrating something. Then, suddenly, darkness. I tried to look around, but I couldn't see much. In the distance, I saw a light and started walking toward it. When I stepped outside the tent and looked back, there was a huge white snake devouring the tent and I had just been in. I was terrified and started praying silently for it not to see me, but it did. It began slithering toward me. Out of nowhere, a white lion appeared and started fighting the snake. Then I woke up. The second dream, I was in my dorm room reading a book. The lights were dim and it was silent. I could hear my heartbeat. I looked up and saw a figure standing in the doorway. It looked like one of the teachers, just standing there, staring at me. I don't know where I found the courage, but I asked who it was. It told me it was a messenger and had to come to deliver news. They are here, and they came to stay. I asked who it meant. and she didn't answer. Instead, she started walking toward me. My first instinct was to pray. I prayed harder than I ever had before. She screamed, "You will never defeat them. They are everywhere, and they could be anyone." And then there was a flash of white light, and I woke up. After that, I was always alert about the people around me. Not long after, we got a new priest at the school. Every Sunday afternoon, he would pray for us. One day, he said he could see darkness closing in on our school. After he came, I never had those dreams again until I left the school. You can send your own spooky encounters, stories, urban legends to SomethingScary@snarled.com, and I might read them on the podcast. And don't forget to tap follow so you're first to hear every eerie new episode of Something Scary. And just a reminder, don't forget to follow on Spotify or subscribe to Snarled on YouTube. Sometimes the scariest part of school isn't what happens inside the halls. It's what refuses to stay there, like in this story inspired by Andrea. I told myself I wasn't just skipping first period, harmless. But when I ducked into the girls' bathroom and heard the sound, I should have run. It was a girl vomiting in the stall, but not normal vomiting. It rattled like dry stones in a tin can. When I dared to peek, her eyes were completely black. Her hair clung to her pale, wet face, and the air smelled like burnt metal and something rotting beneath it. My stomach twisted. Are you okay?" I whispered, my voice trembling. No response, just the rattling, wet sound. I slammed the stall door and bolted towards the office, heart hammering. The hallways were empty, not the usual empty between periods, completely empty. Lockers gaped open, no posters on the walls, no faint buzz of fluorescent lights. Some lights flickered, others were dead. My footsteps echoed against silence, each step louder than the last. I called for a teacher. Silence. The office was the same. Empty chairs, untouched desks, the receptionist's bell untouched. Phones dead. It was as if the school itself had swallowed everyone whole, leaving only me. I ran home. The front door was unlocked, too unlocked. My mom, my little sister, my dad, they were all gone. Only the faint outline of furniture remained. Shadows where the couch encounters had been. My cat, Ness, didn't stir. The smell followed me in, metallic, sour, like something burning underwater. I called 911. Click, dead. I tried my neighbor, my friend Sharon. Nothing. I went to my stepsister's house, desperate. She listened, pale, wide-eyed, but didn't laugh. "Maybe you shouldn't have gone back there," she said. For weeks, I stayed with her. Each night, I dreamed of the girl. Black eyes, vomit streaking the hallways like ink, impossible to scrub away. The smell clung to my dreams. Every dream ended the same. Me, screaming alone, her hand reaching for me, whispering words I couldn't understand. Eventually, I had to go back. Maybe if I had faced the school, I could find answers. The school looked normal. Hallways full of students, lockers slammed shut, teachers shouting reminders. Relief washed over me. Maybe it had just been a hallucination. Then, I saw her. By the vending machines, exactly where I had first heard the vomiting. She didn't move, didn't blink. Black eyes drilling into me. My stomach lurched. I ran. And when I looked back, she was gone. That night, some things returned home. Furniture, my sister's bed, and the TV. But my dad, Ness, was gone. A faint metallic smell lingered in the air, sharper now, clinging to the corners of the room. I touched the couch. It felt like a shadow beneath my fingers. Unreal. Days passed. Sounds echoed from empty rooms. My reflection flickered, showing her eyes instead of mine. Every time I thought my family was back, one of them would vanish again. It wasn't random. It was tied to me. I told my mom. She shook her head, voice flat, like reading from a script. "It's stress," she said. But every time I entered my room, the faint smell of rot returned, stronger when I looked at the corners of the ceiling. One Thursday, I stayed late for science club. Sharon had left early. Empty hallways stretched ahead, gym echoing, cafeteria chairs stacked neatly. Then I heard it. Vomiting. Not a stall this time, but the principal's office. I crept closer, the door ajar. Inside, she sat at the desk, black eyes fixed on the wall, hair slick with wet filth, vomit pooling around the chair. My foot hit a chair. She turned. Blackness spread like liquid. My chest tightened. The vomiting, the disappearances, the shifting rooms. It was following me. I ran. Outside the school was empty again, collapsed on the sidewalk, hyperventilating. I saw the moment in the distance. My parents, my sister, my cat. Relief tore through me. I ran to them. Closer, only my mom remained. The rest vanished. Faint whispers rose. Words I couldn't understand. Every day, they grew louder. She was everywhere, in the spaces between moments, inside the gaps of reality. One night, my mom told me the truth. I'd been in a coma. I had fallen 5 years ago. Everything since the school, friends, normal life had been a dream inside the coma. I was only 10. Now, I was 12. I should have felt relief, but I didn't, because that night, I saw her in the corner of my room. Not a dream, not a hallucination, real, black eyes glinting in the dark, whispering again. She wasn't done. School the next day felt different. Hallways stretched into darkness, classrooms flickered, lights dimmed, revealing shadows that didn't belong. The hum of the fluorescent bulbs wrapped into low whispers. No one else noticed. I told Sharon. She said I was overreacting. She didn't see her. I avoided bathrooms, empty halls, even lunch, but she was everywhere. Or maybe I was everywhere she wanted me to be. Reality twisted. Doors led to nowhere. Windows showed the school from impossible angles. Hallways stretched like corridors in a funhouse, distorted. I couldn't find the exit. Then, in the cafeteria, black vomit streaked the linoleum, wet and fresh. She had returned, fully awake. She didn't care who saw her, only me. I ran, hallways twisted, growing longer. The distant hollow laughter of students echoed in a distorted manner. Lockers loomed as if bending toward me. My chest tightened. The last thing I saw before collapsing in the empty gym, her face inches from mine, black eyes, pale hair, a smile that didn't belong. When I woke, I was home. My family there, nest curled at the foot of my bed, everything looked normal. But I know she's still there, waiting in the gaps, in the empty hallways, in the school that should be safe. Tomorrow is my first day back, and I'll be the first one to see her. How would you react if your world around you started vanishing? Do you think the girl is real or a product of the coma? This week's podcast stories were edited by Sarah Lukasiewicz, narration by Blair Bathory, audio edited and mixed by Fitz Harris, additional audio editing by Calvin Linderman, produced by Anna Villalobos, executive produced by Gail Gilman, music by Sapphire Sindalo and Calvin Linderman. If you have a story you'd like to submit, send me an email at somethingscary@snarled.com. Don't forget to watch the video version of Something Scary over at youtube.com/snarled. And if you'd like to support the show and everything we do at Snarled, join our Patreon at patreon.com/snarled.